asylum seekers come to this country, they've usually been travelling for months, if not years. So they've left behind their families, their homes, everything that they hold dear, and they've been stripped of all agency during that journey. They've had to rely on criminal gangs who have told them where to go and forced them into dangerous conditions. You know, people have crossed deserts, people have crossed seas, people have walked and walked and walked for miles. They have nothing left except the clothes on their back, and you don't know where it is you're going to. You don't know the geography of the country, and you're very often sent to areas of the country that you've never heard of as a foreigner here. So you know about London, but you probably don't know much about the northeast.
It's important to recognise as well that that dispersal system works on a no-choice basis. So you have no choice over where you are dispersed to. It might be Glasgow, it might be Manchester, it might be Birmingham. In 2012, that model shifted to a privatised model effectively, whereby you now had 6 centralised contracts from the Home Office to 3 central providers, G4S, Serco and Clearsprings. They often subcontracted that down to, it might be individual landlords, or it might be housing associations to some extent, or private contracts within that. And so you have this kind of subcontracting chain that was arising. But the key significant shift there was from a role of the local authority in terms of these consortium bids to the role of only very few centralised agencies.
They've probably lived over the last months or years in incredibly squalid conditions, dangerous conditions, never knowing how long they'll be in one place or another. And the very least we can do from a point of view of helping them to psychologically recover is to give them a safe place where they can go to, where they can feel comfortable, where they can relax, and where they can start to rebuild a sense of selfhood and a sense of security.
Sign this, I gave you this property. I said no, I didn't sign because I can't open my luggage. It's very, very dirty. He said, if you didn't sign, I kick you out to the street and you should sleep in the street and with you and your children. And I crying. And he said, you don't have any way. Go to the street or sign this. Believe me. And I'm crying, and my daughter crying. I sign. I forced to sign. In the kitchen, full of the water because the washing machine was broken, and the refrigerator full of the insects. I said the householder asked me, this property was from G4S.
I had a little baby at that time. My son was only 5 months old, and G4S gave me and my son a very horrible house. Even dogs would not live in that kind of houses. There were cockroaches, slugs, rats, disgusting environment.
And we begging the householder, the G4S, the landlord, but they didn't do anything. And every winter we had problem with this heater. For example, two winter I didn't have warm water, and I should put pot for my daughter and wash my daughter. They said me, leave it with us. In 3 weeks we change for you. 3 weeks take 3 winter and 2 summer I was there.
And the environmental health services came just to see where we were, and it was really bad, horrible place to live.
And when environmental services saw your accommodation, what did they do? What was the response?
Oh, they said it was really bad. I think grade A or something, that it was really, really horrible. The houses were damp, cockroaches everywhere, where I had the situation where there were cockroaches inside my baby's milk, my baby's bottle, yeah, and that was terrifying. And when I rang G4S regarding this situation, they were nasty and they said, "You're just a bloody asylum seeker anyway. You don't have this kind of accommodation where you came from, so you're supposed to appreciate the fact that we're giving you this kind of place." To be honest, he made me feel really worthless, and they treated me like I'm some sort of dirt. When they decided to rehouse me and my son, they took me and my son to another accommodation, and when I got there, that was really horrible, more than where we left, where I was before. So I said, I'm not gonna accept to live here because this is even more horrible than my previous place. And they were saying, because I'm an asylum seeker, I don't have any right to choose or to say, I'm not gonna live in this property. I haven't got that right, that I am on a no choice basis, that what the order is from Home Office. So I said, no, I'm not gonna live here with my son. And they forced my stuff into the property. So I said to them, you need to stop taking my things into this property because I'm not gonna live in that house. So, and they were actually, pulling my stuff. I was actually like pulling my stuff as well from them not to take it in. And I had a friend with me. She was holding my baby at that time. And there were neighbors as well who saw the way they treated me. I was struggling with them, like, no, I'm not gonna go into this property. So they were forcing my stuff and I was bringing the stuff out. And I think because when they saw the neighbor intervene and said, why are you being horrible to this woman? If she says she doesn't want this property, she doesn't want it. And the neighbor testified that that property has been abandoned for years. Why would you want to give a human being that kind of property? And they said to the neighbor, it's none of your business, keep out of it. So I think my friend came, and when they saw that we were beginning to draw a crowd, they ran off with my stuff for a good 6 hours. I had my baby's bottle, milk, electric kettle, everything. So my baby didn't have any milk for more than 6 hours.
Welcome to Great Britain.
G4S and Serco had no real experience of providing this form of housing before the onset of Compass. They had experience, as I've mentioned before, that came from deportation flights, detention centres and so on. So their experience of actually engaging with asylum seekers was very different from the context of what is effectively provision of housing in a kind of care context. And that's very different. So I think we have to remember that they don't have that kind of level of experience and expertise. And they tried to develop that, of course. But at the same time, I think we could have thought differently about, well, what are the types of providers that we might bring in to do this. So there's a message in the choice of provision, I think.
There was about maybe 20 people or maybe more in one house. It was really busy house, and I had 2 kitchens, really dirty, and it wasn't really clean. Even the animals can't live in the house. John said that it's like the roof is like big hole in the roof comes down, and sometimes my room roof is leaking, the water is leaking. There's, I think, 2 or 3 toilet and bathroom, and 2 of them is it's out of service, you can't use it. It's making me really feel bad, when you're sleeping in the house and on the floor, you hear it on the floor, the mouse, it's full of the mouse on the floor. Even when I'm sleeping at night, I can hear it. So, yeah, it's really feel you like you're not leaving. It's like actually from when I came to this country, it's like I came to the big prison.
Doncaster. The lady was put into, it was a bed and breakfast basically from G4S, and she had a newborn baby. It was one room, and where she bathed the baby in a little sink was within the toilet. And she also washed the utensils there and everything. And she couldn't open the window. So the room was really hot and the heating didn't go off. It was boiling. And the baby was like dehydrated and things like that. That's when I first encountered the asylum housing. And we had to put up a big fight with G4S to remove this woman here. And the only way that we did that was by threatening G4S, saying we're going to the Children's Society about child abuse, and then they eventually did move her to a decent place. In Sheffield, I went into a house where 2 pregnant women shared one room that fitted 2 single beds and nothing else. They couldn't move, there was no space for them to move. Their clothes they put in a drawer outside of the door. And the 2 women didn't know each other. So there was no privacy between them. So they sort of like put a cloth across to separate themselves from each other. So, and the place was infested with rats. There was ceiling was leaking from the bathroom. It was awful. They'll put the women with children where it's dangerous for the children within the environment around or within the place. It's dangerous for the children because like the mum would have to lock a child in the room to go to the kitchen or to go to the bathroom. It's not acceptable. If you phone them, they take forever to come. And if you complain, you get victimized.
Regarding you kind of exposing them, if you're an asylum seeker, they might move you to very bad accommodation again, or take you out of, where you are, like to another city. Let's say if you're in Sheffield, they might move you to somewhere like Scotland or something.
And have you heard of that happening?
Oh yeah, a lot.
For example, now I'm sit here, but I know a few people, they scary about come here and to speak everything. They scary and